Evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Tonight's topic: men who commit treason by supporting the feminist movement. Men who commit treason by supporting the feminist movement. Why do I want to bring this topic up? First of all, let's break down the three waves of feminism. The first wave of feminism, you had Susan B. Anthony. It's when women were oppressed. They couldn't vote. And this happened in the early 20th century. And then in 1921, he had the ERA movement, which allowed women to vote. Then you had the second wave of feminism. That came right around the Vietnam War era in the 60s and the 70s. This is when you had the likes of Gloria Steinem, Betty Friedan, and that movement was a good intent. It talked about equal pay for women. But when you got to the 90s and now, the third wave of feminism is more of a misandrist movement. Now, what do I mean by misandry? Misandry is the hatred of men. Now, what has happened in this country, women have gotten everything they wanted and they want more off the backs of men, particularly the government. This is why the laws are the way they are. And men still haven't got any understanding to what's happening in this country. We now live in a country full of hypergamy. Now, what I mean by hypergamy, it means for women and by women. And it's going to continue to happen until men get it in their heads that we must stick together. Now, this third wave of feminism, I'm not going to blame it on the women. I'm going to blame it on the men. This is when you get the simp and the mangina culture. And what do I mean by simp or mangina or a white knight? These are the men who, in essence, have a low opinion of themselves. Very low, that they're looking for any woman to validate them to make them feel like a man. This is where you come up with the thug culture in the hood, because a number of African American males grow up in single parent households. So to prove that they are a man, they're going to pull a gun out to shoot another man. And at the end of the day, they're going to go to jail to prove their manhood in jail. This is why the culture of thugness is celebrated in the black community, and education is for lames. Now, when you look at who is following the feminist movement, you have a lot of men who are following the feminist movement. I remember there was a women's march. It was in the early 2000s when George Bush was in office. You had the likes of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, who marched with Patricia Ireland and the National Organization for Women. Last night, I saw an Angry Man video, and shout out to Brother Angry Man and support his channel. I looked at the thumbnail. Now, he's not going to give the name of this person out, but I'm going to give the name of this person out. I looked, and the person was very familiar. And I recognized this person from one of Tyler Perry's movies. He played the bus driver in The Family at Praise, and his wife played in a movie called Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins. That's the movie that featured Monique, James Earl Jones, Martin Lawrence. But staying on topic. Now, when I viewed this individual, and by the name, the actor I'm talking about is Boris Kodjoe. That's right, Boris Kodjoe. There was a picture of Boris Kodjoe and his son. Both decent looking men. But what was appalling, and I want everybody to check out the picture. Check out Angry Man's video. He has it up as a thumbnail. What was appalling about this image is this. Boris Cujo and his son had painted their nails pink. Now, to me, you're not teaching your son how to be a man. You're teaching your son how to be gay. The problem is Boris Cujo and his son weren't on the side of men. They were involved in the feminist movement, and I call that treasonous. And the reason why I call it treasonous, because you have a number of men, like the NFL. Every year, football players in early September or October are wearing pink. Now, yes, can men get breast cancer? Certainly. However, breast cancer isn't common with men. Prostate cancer is common with men. However, do you see the WNBA players wearing purple, supporting our cause? Now, yes, there's going to be individuals out there that say, well, men don't talk about prostate cancer. Well, yes, we do. We just don't have a media to air our grievances. That's why we come to YouTube. And the problem with men who bond together is we can't have our own clubs. Because if we have our own clubs, well, women are going to find a way to go to court to get a policy initiated to dissolve our clubs if they can't join our clubs. However, we can't join their clubs. In fact, there are women's colleges out there, and I can tell you one right off the top of my head. It's called Wilson College in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Women went tooth and nail to get into VMI, which is Virginia Military Institute, and to the Citadel down in South Carolina. It's nothing wrong with being equal, but the big problem with this third wave of feminism is men who are siding with feminists. There's another incident where I saw a CEO. He was on Good Morning America with Robin Roberts. Okay, Robin Roberts, she's the African American lady who had cancer. She was also a member of ESPN. He told Robin Roberts that women are better organizers, they're great with multitasking, they're better with communication, and there are a whole host of other issues that he was slamming men on, but yet he's a CEO. These are treasonous men. These are the men who are causing a rift between alpha males and females. Because at the end of the day, females aren't going to respect these manginas or simps. They're going to utilize the simp and a mangina to try to have some conflict with the alpha males. And then once they get the work done, well, what are the females going to do? They're going to throw them right under the bus because they're not going to respect them. Why? Because they don't believe them to be real men. So the third wave of this gender war is not with the females, it's with the men. Men don't stick together. And if women affiliate with any man, they're going to get backlash from other women, particularly in the black community. And you can see it on the black sector of YouTube. Anytime when a man comes up with a valid argument, you're going to have women who are going to come to a woman's comment who supports a man, and they're going to throw all kinds of acumens and ad hominem attacks and shaming tactics to try to make her feel good about what her beliefs are. That's known as fascism, and that's what feminism is. It's a form of fascism. Militant feminism is running rabid, and men are joining the crowd, and they are treasonous. And those treasonous need to be condemned. Feminism, particularly in the black community, has raised a simp culture. And in the white community, we call them white knights and manginas. You could see some of the men on television. Men look like fools and women look like they're smart. Men do not fight for any cause. We allow something to happen until it's too late. I don't see men fighting for child support. Now, there's a small segment of men like Chris Smith and Omen Osiris. They're talking about child support. You have a small segment of men, particularly Brother Ringo TV Raw, Angry Man, and O'Shea Jackson, and even Matt Coley, and shout out to all those guys, they're talking about men's issues. But the problem is, we don't have enough men supporting a men's movement because men don't even believe in their own selves as men. But we believe in what women tell us. Now, this is not a video to attack women because that's not what I'm about. What I am telling you is that you have men who are following you thinking that you're going to validate them. And for most women who are feminists out there, I'm going to tell you straight to the point. A lot of feminists, they get their ideology from college. And a lot of your college women, and I can verify it myself, aren't very attractive. This is why they utilize college as a substitution for their looks. And I have to tell a number of women, particularly in westernized culture, men do not value your education. We don't care about that. We care about how appealing you are to our eye. It's like a restaurant. In order to sit down and eat, if the food comes to the table and the presentation is not correct, we don't eat it. I don't care how good it may taste, but our eyes are going to give us the lead to whether we're going to eat the food or not. My idea is I'm just tired of men being simps and manginas following the women's movement, but they don't want to get on our side and talk about men's issues. And when we talk about the modern day women and her fallacies, what happens? Well, you even have men that run to some of these women and they find a way, particularly on YouTube, to get some of the brothers' channels flagged. Because of what? Of what they're saying. And it's truth. And this PC culture has not allowed men to be men. And the reason why you had this feminist movement regarding Donald Trump, it's not that Donald Trump is a bad president. He has only been in office a couple of days. It's because women wanted to see a woman in power, because Hillary is a feminist herself, and she would have given women everything that she wanted, and men would have even fallen further and further and further behind the eight ball. And right now you have a number of feminists who believe that they are superior to us because, number one, they've gotten everything they wanted from the government. So when you take the government away from women, they're going to have to depend on men. I mean, some women don't realize how well they have it. They can go to school. In fact, they can go to college without signing up for the draft. Men have to sign up for the draft. They get promoted. They get jobs a lot faster than men do. Affirmative action helps women out a lot more than it does particularly black males or any other minority male. They have reproductive rights. They can have careers. They have all the laws that benefit them. But yet they want more and more and more laws to benefit them, but a number of women aren't even happy. You'll never make them happy. It's like a drug dealer constantly feeding an addict. It's an addiction. A number of women love to have that power. And let me tell you, if they had the power, we would be enslaved by women, because a number of women want us to be subservient to them anyway. And it's funny with the feminist movement, the very men that you don't like, you go home and sleep with. I'm talking about, i.e., Caucasian men, because you know the Caucasian man, particularly with the white feminists, is supplying you with a house, with a job, with money, and everything you want, but you're still not happy. And when you have these feminists up there like Madonna, Ashley Judd, and a lot of these has-been actresses up there who are actually benefiting off of what hardworking people like myself make when we go support their movies, and they come out and talk about how they haven't gotten anywhere. Do you want to listen to that nonsense? And you have men who are supporting that nonsense. Now, again, going back to Boris Cujo, it was appalling to see him painting his nails pink and his son painting his nails pink. When have you seen women support men's causes? Now, I don't dislike women. I love women, but I'm not going to support their cause. I'm going to support men's causes because I am a man, and I believe that we men have to stick together, and we're going to have to root out the simp and the manginas because they are causing the rift between men and women because, in essence, like I told you before, they have a low opinion of themselves and they feel more like a man when they become the savior of women. But in actuality, the simp and the mangina, again, looking for the woman's validation, he wants to have sex with her just as much as the alpha male does. But he's trying to spin it to where he looks like someone who's innocent. And let me tell you, the simps and manginas out there, women can see right through your nonsense. And what they're going to do, they're going to use you as a utility. And at the end of the day, you're going to look like a fool because they're going to throw you under the bus just like they're going to throw me and everybody else under the bus who is a man. Now, I'm not saying that every westernized woman is going to do this because you have some good westernized women out there. But I tell you what, if they did join any type of march with men asserting themselves, it would be a very small minority. In fact, you couldn't even find them to be so small because generally women support one another, even if they are wrong. We as men don't. So I'm advocating this to men. To all my fellow YouTubers out who particularly talk about social issues. If you see any man who is simping, put it out over YouTube. Put it out on Facebook. Because particularly black men, we don't have any media that's nationalized. So we have to utilize YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and any type of social media that is going to give us any advantage. Now, we have to know how to present it right. We can't get on the camera and become barbaric in our presentation. We have to be somewhat intellectual to get our point across. But what I'm telling you, the men who are joining the feminist movement are the ones hurting the cause for men because they are looking for that validation. But we have to teach them that you're men just like we are. You're going to be disrespected. And this culture, what is it bred? It's bred a lot of thugs, a lot of brothers in jail, because again, they grew up in violent homes. They've seen their violent moms. They've seen violent men that their moms have had coming in and out of the house like a revolving door. And again, they don't know how to talk to one another. And I'm talking about the black community right now because men are very emotional. They get loud. And in fact, they don't know how to disagree with one another. You try to have any type of dialogue with these men who are coming from the hood. You can't get a word in there because they are trying to overtalk one another with emotion, and then at the end of the day, nothing gets done that is constructive. The behavior is going to be destructive because two things are going to happen. You're going to find somebody dead or in jail. This is why you have the shootings in Chicago, in Baltimore, in Houston, in Philadelphia, because a lot of the men are trying to prove that they're men. This attitude of manhood and proving themselves to be men has formulated the gang culture. This is why you have individuals who are going to continue to be out on the street that they don't even own. Taxpayers own that street. But because gang members, thugs, they're really undercover simps. But they're trying to make themselves a man by getting in another man's face. But at the end of the day, they're not men. They're not smart. And see, in the black culture, they look down at educated individuals who want to be doctors, lawyers, engineers. Because what you see in the black community, a lot of us have made our money from entertainment and athletics. But what I'm trying to get to every man in this video, we're going to have to call out men who are supporting a woman's movement. We need to support us. Women aren't going to support our movement. And what happened during the inauguration was utterly despicable. You have a number of women who don't appreciate what they have. Women have come a long way. However, this president is not going to give you your way like President Obama and President Bill Clinton. In fact, when President Bill Clinton was in office, it's funny, the feminists did not march against President Clinton, and he actually lied when he had an alleged affair, which became an affair with Monica Lewinsky, and Jennifer Flowers he raped, and there were other women who he raped, and I believe his wife, Hillary, knew about it. This is why Hillary Clinton did not win the presidency, because she has an association with Bill Clinton, who was a president, and of course her husband. But again, your association, you're guilty by it, and that's why she didn't win the presidency. And I said to the Democrats, there's nothing wrong with a woman running any type of company, but women are too tyrannical in their thinking to lead because they're not taught responsibility. They're taught to manage. And management, what do? You delegate the responsibility to somebody else, and when that person doesn't get it done, well, of course, you're not going to take ownership for your subordinate not getting anything done. And when your boss comes to you, what's going to happen? Your boss is a manager, you're a manager, you're going to stick together, and you're going to try to get rid of that employee. Whereas men, when we're leaders, we have to take ownership for everything we do, because in an organization, we own every decision that we make, whether it is a failure or a success. But men, we have to start taking ownership of what we want and who we are, and we cannot allow the liberal media to dictate our thinking. And we cannot let the modern day feminists put us in servitude. We cannot allow the feminist movement to give a number of women who really have gotten their way for not doing anything. They want the same pay, but they want men to do all the heavy lifting. That's BS, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. So please don't come to my channel with any nonsense thinking that you're going to shame me, because this is my channel. If you want to refute what I'm saying, get your own channel up. Because you have some women who are going to come to other guys' channels when men are putting out their truth about how they feel with what's going on with the women's movement. Women are going to try to chastise them with a comment that has nothing to do with the topic. And I'm not here again trying to malign women. I'm just talking about men, but using the women's movement as an example, because we have a lot of men who are following the women's movement, but they don't teach their sons. Like, I'm looking at Boris Cujo. I want everybody again to check out that thumbnail on Angry Man's video about masculinity. I believe that's the name of it. But we cannot have men fighting in the women's movement, because if that happens, then let's get women on our side to help us. And I believe there are women who would help us, but women have to worry more about backlash than we do. So all I'm trying to do is send a message to men. If you're going to be a simp or mangina and allow yourselves to be utilized as a tool under the servitude of this modern feminism, it's going to be called out. Because in an act of war, if you try to escape, that's called a dereliction of duty. And you know what happens? You get a bullet in the head. Well, if you are a treasonous by supporting the women's movement, you're going to get called out. And there'll be people who are going to call you out. I'm going to call you out. Because men, we have to start taking ownership and not allowing the media to marginalize our thoughts. We built this country. We've made it comfortable for women to have an environment such as a house, such as a nice car, and money for them to do what they want to do. And for a number of these modern day feminists to be ungrateful when you have women in the Middle East who can't drive, who can't have any type of education. That's oppression. Women here aren't oppressed. They're narcissistic, selfish. Some of them are borderline schizophrenic, bipolar, because they've gotten everything that they've wanted and they're not happy. And I'm going to tell you this, men, you keep following the movement, you're wasting your time. Because at the end of the day, the modern woman in the westernized world, particularly in America, will never be happy. All you're going to do, you're going to keep making yourself look like a fool. So remember, if you're a man and you're supporting a woman's movement, you are committing treason. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this evening, Tuesday, January 24th, 2017. You can tune into the 401 Talk Zone radio show every Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, I don't engage in any debate, emotional, or social issues, nor do I participate in drama or unnecessary bickering. What I'm trying to do is educate. Education is power, and a number of us need to understand how the real world works. So I keep everything realistic but positive. And if you have a business or a topic that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave it in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy no bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you opine. That's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed night. Good night.